Welcome to another edition of Strategic Moves with Lou. I'm Mike Hendren, your host, and the co-host, I guess. Really, the host is Lou Italis. She is the owner-broker of Strategic Realty here in Wichita Falls, Texas. That's where it's based at. Lou, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, well.
It's another beautiful day in real estate.
Another beautiful day, another beautiful month, week,
year.
It's been a roller coaster of a year. It's hard to believe we're already in September.
2021 is going to be over before we know it.
We've just about blown 2021 totally up. And the foreclosure moratorium, the eviction moratorium and the foreclosure moratorium are a couple things we want to talk about here. Two separate things. Mm-hmm. The eviction moratorium basically said if you're renting or leasing a property, your landlord couldn't kick you out for not paying your rent.
Well, the CDC guidelines said that each Texas state ruled that was unconstitutional. So each individual county are still doing the foreclosure.
Right,
eviction. Sorry,
because the CDC sent down this rule, which they don't have any legislative authority.
Jurisdiction over that. Yeah,
they have no legislative authority whatsoever. And it wasn't something Congress did. It's something that a government agency did.
Right.
So that was ruled unconstitutional. Now the foreclosure moratorium, that's a whole other story.
Yes.
So that's where we get into talking about Fannie Mae properties, for example, right?
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Sallie Mae,
right.
VA, HUD.
Right. So anything to do with any of those loans that are backed by any of those agencies, they basically, the federal government said you cannot be evicted from your property.
Correct.
Which, okay, fine. But the problem is you're getting this big backlog of properties, right? At some point, all the chickens come home to roost.
Yeah, and a lot of owners probably don't know that there is something called forbearance that you can apply for at your local bank in order to assist you with your back mortgages. I don't know all the details behind the forbearance.
Right.
As far as if they're gonna just forgive the amount or if they're gonna add the amount to it's kind of like what's the word? No, it's not a refi. It's more like a modification of your loan,
right? Where
they take that amount that's owed and put it to the back of your loan,
right?
So they're just adding it all back. I don't really know if that's what they're doing or if they're forgiving the amount that's owed. I doubt that they're going to be forgiving it, but I don't know. This is the federal government.
And I would think that would be tough because you've got to have some people out here that are probably not just months, but a year or more behind in their payments.
Yeah.
That adds up quickly. You know, if you figure if the average mortgage, let's say, is $1,000 that they're paying, and they haven't paid in a year, it's $12,000, and
nobody's ever going to get caught up on that.
Yeah, that's a hard one to ever cover. If you've fallen behind by $12,000, you probably aren't going to make that up.
So what they'll probably do is they'll probably do it like a modification where they'll add it back to the end of your loan, but you have to apply for that forbearance. The banks aren't just going to give that to you.
Right, and that's going to apply for that, and that's going to extend the loan out, right? I don't really know all the details behind that, if it's been extended or not. I would think that it would. I
would think that it would too.
If your loan's due to be paid off in January of 2025 and they do a modification, it's probably going to extend it into, depending on how far behind you are, another 6 months or a year into that year to get it paid off, because they're going to want their money.
Yeah,
I mean, they still want their money. It's been a tough situation. It's been a tough 15, 18 months now, however deep we are into this hot, steaming mess of whatever.
It's actually cooled down a little bit out there. For some reason, it didn't feel so hot this morning.
I'm talking about the pandemic, that hot, steaming mess. Good grief, what a nightmare this has been for a lot of people. But we've seen an awful lot of folks fall behind on these mortgages. And going back to the eviction moratorium, with people that are renting or leasing properties, you've also got the issue of you've got these landlords out here that they may own 10 properties, but they may also owe the bank for all 10 of those properties.
Well, hopefully that's not the case.
And they're not getting paid.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that happen. But as far as for property management is, as far as property management is concerned, Texas Rent Relief is working.
Okay.
I have applied for quite a few of my landlords.
Yeah.
And we have been successful in getting it. It takes a long time, and it's a very, it's not very difficult to apply for, but you have to have patience because it's not going to be something where they say, oh, yeah, and then we'll just give you, even once they say that they're awarding you the funds, still takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get it.
Yeah, right.
So whenever you apply for the Texas rent relief, you really have to make sure that you're applying for it. The current, anything that's past due, and they'll give you even up to, I think, 2 months of the next month's rent.
Well,
so
just
you need to make sure to apply for that, because by the time you get it, if your tenants haven't been making that payment, you'll get 2 more months worth of rent.
Right. And that is a state-administered program, right? That's not a federal thing. That's strictly a state program, the Texas Rent Relief.
Is just for Texas.
Okay.
Yes.
And I guess on a county-by-county basis is how they handle that.
I don't know if it's a county-by-county basis. It's just an application that you do online. So if you go to the you type in Texas Rent Relief, sign in as a landlord, fill out your portion of the application, apply for your tenants, and then have your tenants either meet with you, or I would say just have them meet with you, because that might be the easier thing. That's what I've found that's easier to do, is have them meet with me so that I can help them and guide them through the application process on their end, because the tenants also have to apply. And then it has to kind of match up. And if it's duplicated in the system, then that is going to take the system longer to review and and provide you with those funds.
Well, anything like that that involves a government entity, it's going to move at the speed of smell, basically. Nothing happens fast.
It's not fast at all.
And a lot of that
take 2 months, if not more.
Yeah, a lot of that too is it's not just the way the bureaucracy operates, but also the fact that they've got a backlog of paperwork. They've got a backlog of things going on, and probably short-staffed as well.
They have there's a third party that's taking care of all of this.
Yeah.
So the third party has been mandated to deal with the application process and get and push everything through. Even with that process being third party, it still is pretty backlogged.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have applied for this, so I think they're...
Well, so kind of moving on to another topic here. Building materials, construction materials, prices are starting to come down a little bit. Notice that the price of 7/16 OSB, which is like the universal sheathing material for any new construction project, new home. I've even seen it used in commercial projects. It's has been more economical than plywood, supposed to be stronger than plywood, actually. But the price of it went from $10 or $11 or $12 a sheet, 24 months ago. It jumped all the way up to 50, and in some places, some parts of the country, I am told it went as high as $65 a sheet.
Wow.
And I noticed the other day here locally, it was down to, I want to say, $29 or $30 a sheet at one location. I won't say which one. They're not paying the sponsor, so
Yeah.
But anyway, but
if you want to know, just call Michael.
Yeah, you can call me. I'll tell you. $29 or $30 a sheet, that's a pretty substantial drop from where it was 3 months ago.
Right.
But the problem is you've got a lot of projects, and you've got some projects in the pipeline that fell into this category that were being built at those higher prices. Well, that caused the price of that home to go up. You got to pass that cost on to the consumer. And so those homes, the prices on those homes are not going to come down. You still got to recoup your investment in that.
Right.
But fortunately now, if you're starting a new project, your materials are coming in a little bit cheaper than they were 90 days ago.
Yep.
Which is great. What I've heard, just talking,
that it stays that way, but I'm thinking. I mean, I'm hearing that it's going to fluctuate a little bit more later.
Well, talking to a couple of local managers at some of the lumber yards and whatnot. So some of the domestic lumber production is opening back up fully now. They're beginning to get caught up to where they're actually able to meet current demand as readily as they are back orders. And that's helping prices somewhat. But there's no guarantees that they're going to be able to maintain the pace they're on. Everybody, it sounds like, is working at a breakneck pace to try to get everything caught up and get back back to a schedule that makes sense, to where you're not waiting, 6 months to get windows or 2x4s or drywall or whatever for your project. But we've got good example. We've got a hotel that's been undergoing a complete, total remodel, apparently inside and out, on the north side of Wichita Falls, Fairfield Inn. Mm-hmm. And I drive by there several times a day. And on one end of the building, there's like 4 windows that are still missing. And that's the holdup.
Windows is hard to they're hard to come by right now.
Well, the new hotel construction on Kell Boulevard, west of Whataburger, for those of you that live around here.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
That one, that's what's held that project up, is they couldn't get glass, couldn't get windows. And
it's like whack-a-mole. They fix one thing and then another thing breaks. Another 2 things break.
Yeah. But
we were having trouble with brick for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're still having trouble with brick, but now we're having trouble with windows.
I know.
And then once windows start to get a little bit better, then it's something else. And
I know. I know someone who's working on a project. They're building a home down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for someone, and the facade is part brick and part stone, like Austin stone or something.
Should be able to get that from Longo. Oh, wow.
They have had total hell getting the material. And it has been a nightmare in the sense that, they've told the client when they started the project, we'll be done in, 7 to 8 months.
Oh, yeah. And time frames are just...
Now you're 9-10 months into the project and you still aren't done. And, the homeowner is sitting over here going, when do I get to move into this place?
That's the frustrating part about being a home builder, is that you try to establish an ETA, like an estimated time of completion, and you try to reach that goal. And if it's not one thing, it's another. Cabinets. I mean, we had cabinet problems here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, and these problems, it's been universal. It's not just our part of the country; it's the whole country. Everybody all over the country has been experiencing this. So, and that doesn't make anybody feel any better necessarily, but know that we're all in the same boat here. Everyone is being bitten by the same supply chain issues, and it's the same kind of supply chain issues that's affecting every industry out here. You go to your favorite restaurant, you can't get chicken wings because they're out of chicken wings because there's a supply chain issue with chicken wings. I mean, what, we quit breeding chickens or what? You go to your local lumber yard and you can't get a particular window or a particular piece of lumber, or try buying some redwood for a deck or something right now. Good luck. Number one, if you can find it. Number 2, take your banker with you. You're going to need to sign a note. Good Lord. So anyway, it's the costs, it's the supply chain issues. Well, like with the builds that you've got going on. I mean, you've got a number of new homes that are being built. Again, the northwest side, basically, of Wichita Falls.
Northwest Drive,
Northwest Drive.
We've got 2 right now. They're already sold.
Yeah.
It seems like we can't build them fast enough.
Yeah.
And we're in the last steps of the project as far as those 2 houses are concerned. We've already got the sheetrock up and the tape and bed and all that stuff. Yeah. So we're just waiting on, at this point, we're waiting on the cabinets to be completed.
Yeah. And these are pretty average size homes. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
3-bed, 2-bath, only 1-car garage. Mm-hmm. The lots are pretty big, so you got some room to grow in the future. Mm-hmm. And it's a very basic, simple but clean floor plan.
Yeah.
And everything is going pretty smoothly on those. We've got 1260 square feet is the smaller one. We've got a bigger one that's about 1,400 square feet. And there's one on the corner that's being built. That one's going to be about 1,600 square feet, I believe.
These homes are running in the 180-ish range, right?
185 to, I think the one on the corner is like 250.
250? Okay.
But that one's 1,600 square feet.
Yeah. It's a big... It's a major positive for that part of Wichita Falls. This is an area of our city that hasn't seen a lot of new construction in recent years.
Correct.
This land that it's being built on for the last several decades has been nothing but a wheat pasture.
Right.
That land was finally sold, and now it's been subdivided and being redeveloped, and you got these houses being built there. And I keep hearing there are plans for some of the rest of the property going north.
Yeah, this is the first phase of the project.
Yeah.
Once we get a little bit further along on the project, then we're going to be expanding to the rear of that.
Right. I get to build a new city street.
Yeah, I get to plan a whole neighborhood. It's going to be so much fun.
That sounds like it is. But this is an area of Wichita Falls that.
Hopefully, we're going to have like a little doggy park. I mean, my dream is that we'll have a little doggy park. We'll have a little vegetable garden.
Yeah.
Probably like 2 or 3 splash parks in the neighborhood.
That'd be cool.
For the kiddos. Yeah.
So, and then now there's also land west of that on the other side of Loop 11 here in town. Is there any plans to develop that also, or is that still kind of in a holding pattern, or what?
That one's not in our project phase right now at this point, but eventually, it might be.
But that area of Wichita Falls it hasn't seen a lot of, we've seen new houses being built on the south side of town. There's some beautiful homes that have gone up along Seymour Highway as you get closer to Allendale in that area. That have developed really nicely. But this particular area, Wichita Falls, I mean, when was the first one built over there? When was the first one completed over there? A couple of years ago?
It was prior to COVID.
Okay.
For sure.
So 2018, 2019.
I think it was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. That one 3210. No, 3208.
Yeah. So that whole row will be full pretty quick, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, we've only gotten let me think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 built for right now. 8 built, but there should be another 16.
Okay.
So we got 16 homes that we need to sell.
Exactly.
Order it now.
But they're selling.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They are selling.
It's better also. It gives an opportunity for people in that price range to actually build their own home, make some of their own plans.
Right.
I mean, when you think about building your own home, you really want to. Most people that build their own home are in the like $250, $280 price range, because that's what builders are doing in that price range. So this gives people that are in the middle of the I don't know why my brain's not shooting out these words today.
There's a price point where.
Yeah, in that middle price point where they can plan on building there. If they really want to build their own house, they can't find anything that they love. They can come and they can talk to us about, building their own home. They can pick the flooring. They can pick the siding. Not the siding. Sorry, the brick color. They can pick they can make some modifications to the homes, and if they have something that they really want, we can modify the inside as well.
I've been working with a couple of clients lately that have been looking for rental property, and they're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house and under $1,000 a month, and it's like, okay, well, don't expect to find anything quickly. Number one, because it's probably not going to happen. There's a real shortage of rental properties here, and I'm hearing, I don't know if this is totally accurate, but I'm hearing that apartments are getting pretty thin, too, on supply.
Yeah, there's a lot of apartments. If you talk to a lot of the apartment complexes, they're at 95, 98% occupancy.
Man, which is great for them. Yeah, it's great for the property owners, but if you're someone who needs to move, I got one I'm working with right now. He's trying to buy a house, but he's renting one right now. Well, that rental is going up for sale. And so in the next, 90, 120 days, whatever, this guy's going to have to move. So we got to find him something. We got to get him in something. And, he's going to have an ever shortening, narrowing window of opportunity to get out of there. But, finding rental properties for some of these folks, and especially at a price point under $1,000 a month.
Oh, yeah, forget about it.
It's just almost impossible to find anything. And, if
I
you
just leased a 1-bedroom for $700.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And there was a point, and it hasn't been that long ago, that you could rent a 3-bedroom home for $700 or $800 or $900 a month. I mean, you could still do it a few years ago, but that's not the case now.
If you're not picky about the area, yeah.
Yeah, if you're not picky about the part of town, but it's if you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, in any of in almost anywhere in Wichita Falls right now, you better be prepared to fork out at least $1,000 a month or more. It's just the way it's going to be. And a lot of the nicer homes are bringing, $1,500, $2,000 a month.
I just leased one that normally would lease for about $1,100 for $1,400.
Yeah.
It's crazy pants.
I've seen one or two out there that matter of fact, in the neighborhood that I live in, I've seen some leasing for $1,800 a month, $2,000 a month. And I'm like, for crying out, my house payment isn't that much. You could own the home for less than that.
Well, a lot of it has to do with, as well as the price market, it also has to do a lot with taxes.
Yeah.
So the taxes of the properties have gone up exponentially to the point where most landlords, in order to meet their mortgage payment, their taxes, and their insurance, they're having to charge more. So, and I mean, a lot of it is like 20, 30, a lot of the values of these homes has increased 20 to 30%.
And let's just debunk a little myth right here.
Okay.
Because I hear this from a lot of people. Well, I rent, so I don't pay property taxes. Oh, yes, you do. It's baked into your rent. I promise you it is. Your landlord's not just paying the taxes out of the kindness of their heart. They've got to make money. They're in the business of owning rental properties to make at least part of their living. So, yes, you are paying property taxes. You're just not writing the check out to the county. You're not the one writing the check. They are.
Right.
But it's baked into your rent.
No landlord is going to be above and beyond. So, I mean, if their mortgage payment and their taxes and insurance is $1,300 a month, they're not going to lease their house for $1,000 a month.
No.
They're going to need to be able to make the difference.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
I mean, that's a lot of the reason why rental properties have increased so much in the last month.
Well, speaking of that.
in the last year.
What we've seen with the taxes is not the tax rates continuing to go up, because there's caps, there's limits that the state has put on local entities as to what the tax rates can be. It's the valuations of the property.
Right.
You're seeing the house that was worth $170,000 last year. This year it may be valued at $190,000 or $200,000. And so we're seeing these valuations go up, and we've seen them going up almost every single year for the last 20-30% a year for the last several years. You've seen these increases. I've talked to a couple of people that have told me this. Look, I've seen the value of my property go up $60,000-$70,000 in the last 10 years, but I can't afford to sell it. I don't want to sell it.
You can't buy something to replace it.
I can't buy something to replace it. It's like, what do I do? And so the value of the property is going up. I don't know what. Of course, we don't have any kind of crystal ball to look into this.
It's just a sign of the times. The market is just increasing.
Well, the appraisal district.
It's gonna be a ripple effect. It's gonna have a cause and effect. So all the increase in property values, increases in rental properties, and everything is going to push employers to have to pay more.
And we're already seeing that.
Yeah.
We're already seeing that effect. But the values of the properties, how much higher can they go? I mean, your appraisal district, that's an independent entity that works independent of the tax assessor collector's office, independent of your county commissioner's court. They
can justify it. They're gonna increase it. So it's all based on the sales because they have access to MLS like we do.
Sure.
So whenever they do their research in these neighborhoods and stuff like that, if they see that the value that the sales prices of the houses has gone up so much, then their property their assessment of value is going to go up as well.
Yeah, but at some point, do you start to hit a point as a taxing body? Do you start to hit a point where you push the valuation so high and consequently the taxes so high that you start to have a negative impact on the market?
That is, I mean, that's something for an economist to really manage, but to discuss. Sorry,
I'd love to have someone talk about that.
Yeah,
on the
we
show.
should have somebody talk about that. But
all I can say is it's a logical path you would end up on, perhaps.
If it pushes it above a certain value, it will probably have an effect on the overall market values. Because market values are going to start to decrease. People are going to flood the market with a bunch of rental property. I mean, a bunch of sellers are going to flood the market. Mm-hmm. And then what's going to happen is that the property values are going to start to go down. Right. As the property values start to go down, the property tax appraisal has to also...
It's economics 101.
Bring their property assessments down as well. Yeah. So... Because it's all kind of like it all kind of goes in the same wavelength.
Well, we've always seen hills and valleys, highs and lows. I mean,
in 2009 and 10, our property values actually went down.
Yes, they did. And you see these peaks and valleys in the market almost all the time, and it's in every commodity out there. The thing about it is the property's always going to have some kind of value. There's always going to be somebody that needs a place to live or a place to build a home, land to build a home. It's
always going to be worth something.
And there's always going to be somebody that needs to sell something.
Right.
So don't worry about that. The market's always going to be there, but it ebbs and flows, and you just have to ride the waves. That's really all you can do. Whether you're the builder, the homeowner, the landowner, the landlord, it doesn't matter. You just ride the wave and see where it goes. Well, guys, if you've got a home you want to sell, we'd love to list it for you. You can reach out to us at Strategic Realty, 940-687-7900. Or is it 689? 689. See, I got it wrong again. 689-7900. I got too many numbers floating around up here. I got to get that 7 out of my brain somehow. 689-7900. Visit us online at strategicrealty.net. You can take a look at the listings we've got, other listings in the area. And if you find something you're interested in, give us a call. You can call me directly, 940-232-3876. I'll be glad to help you out. If you got a home you want to sell or if you're looking to buy, either way, we're here to help you. We can work with you any way we need to, and we'll find you something, or we'll get your home sold for you. The market is still in fantastic shape. It's really,
it is.
In spite of everything that's happening and has happened, it really is in pretty fantastic shape still. And interest rates are still low, and money's still available out there. So, if you got plans to buy a new home, or sell your home,
you want to upgrade,
let's do it.
Downgrade, downsize.
Yeah. Well, you see a little bit of that. People get the kids out, get the kids out of the house, and all of a sudden you don't need the 5-bedroom home anymore. A 2-bedroom will be just fine.
Right.
It also discourages the kids from coming back home again.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we'll see you next time with more Strategic Moves with Lou. Until then, y'all take care. We'll see you down the road.
Subscribe, like, and share.